All right. Okay. Okay. I am recording. I'm gonna turn you off. Okay. Jack, I am muting you for just a second.
Okay.
All right. What up? What up, everybody? It is Thursday, November 18th. Yikes, dude. Holy cow. We are just running through November. I just want to say what's up, everybody out there in YouTube land, all on the internets. You know, maybe you're, whoa, yikes. Maybe you're enjoying our podcast from somewhere beyond that is not YouTube. And, you know, maybe you're on one of those awesome platforms that does podcasts and stuff like that. We really appreciate you listening and checking us out. This is the Victorious POD. We are a fantasy football podcast, and more importantly, we are a fantasy football live stream. Jack, I am joined by Jack. Jack, what's going on, man? Why don't you say hi to everybody out there, huh? Oh, shoot. You know what I need to do? Hold on one second. Oh, boy. What if I unmuted you this time? Okay, why don't you try it now?
For the record, I didn't forget to unmute myself.
Really?
I am here. I am in my lovely state-of-the-art, multi-million-dollar office, as you can see, with the loveliness behind me. So just happy to be here.
Cool, right on. And if things couldn't get any more slow or any more worse, I believe my audio engine is just messing up for a second. So we're actually going to do this, and I'll be right back, unfortunately. Cool. Okay. Okay. Jack, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. Cool. All right, we're going to get back to this now. That is really, really dumb and lame. I don't know why my stuff is doing that. I was probably just overworking it, and now we are here back again. Okay.
Sweet.
So that just totally killed my intro. But anyway, Jack.
That's fine. We got the gist.
How you doing, man? How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it's Thursday. We're almost to the weekend, so I'm all happy.
Dude, yeah, I'm super excited. Can you pan just for the viewers real quick? Can you pan your camera to your left shoulder real quick? And there is a beautiful, beautiful bottle of bleach right in the camera frame. Okay, all right, you can move it back.
That's for when the Vikings lose.
Okay. Oh, so when the Vikings lose. All right, perfect.
Correct.
So the Vikings are playing this weekend. It is Border Battle, which is awesome. I mean, I'm super excited for that. Jack, what are your thoughts real quick on Border Battle coming up this weekend?
I like that the first one's at home. I think we obviously play much better at home than at Lambeau, but a little worried. I feel like Rodgers is fired up with all of his stuff in the media lately and is just going to destroy anybody that's in his path. I think this is pretty much it's nice that we beat the Chargers last week, but I think this is the week that defines whether we have a shot or not. If we lose, I think we fold and have no chance of making the playoffs. If we win, I think we sneak in as a 6th or a 7th seed, and then who knows? So this will kind of be the defining week of our season.
Right on. I would pretty much agree with that. I mean, I think last week not last week, 2 weeks ago, no, Halloween, I declared that if, however we do against the Cowboys is really how I see the rest of our season going. Since then, we have made ourselves, back to 500? Are we 500?
One below.
One below 500. Okay. Yeah, this is a huge game. Do I think we're going to win? Probably not, unfortunately. But I mean, we're on the road, which we seem to do better on the road. I don't get that, but it is going to be outdoors in Green Bay, Wisconsin. There, it's probably going to be snowing. People will probably get frozen to the ground. You won't be able to move. They'll have to get the ice picks out just to get people off the field. So,
if it helps, we're at home this week, just so you know.
We're
in Minnesota.
We are at Scolger Field. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yikes. All right, that's embarrassing.
Anyway.
It was sweet. All right, so real quick, I just want to give a big shout out to all of our supporters out there. We love the fact that you are watching and listening. We appreciate when you guys donate money to us. We'd also like to thank Levi Oki. He designed all of our beautiful artwork that we have. So if you want to go check him out on Instagram, it is Levi Oki Illustration. So go check him out on Instagram. Jack, we are gonna go right into our NFL pick'em, which I am super excited about. How did we do last week with our picks?
Really quick, who did you pick last week? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember who I picked because I got it right up here on the screen. Let's see here.
If you want to say it.
Pittsburgh over Detroit, along with half
Lovely.
Of everybody
you
else.
Picked them too. Yeah. So I guess assuming we're doing ties here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 of us all pick them, and we are now at tied. So you, myself, Alex, and Foster all didn't win or lose. Connor and Brandon both got the Colts over the Jaguars. Luke correctly picked Kansas City over Las Vegas, and Garlic incorrectly picked the Chargers over the Vikings, giving them the motivation he intentionally meant to do. So this week, I'm going to read ours off quick, and we have a couple of new challengers that wanted to just hop in and see how they did. So this week, I am going with the Dolphins over the Jets, 2 dumpster fires of teams, but I mean, you can't pick against – you got to pick somebody who's going against the Jets, and they're starting Joe Flacco at this point. So spoiler alert, he's not elite. We also have Connor picking the Patriots over the Falcons in tonight's game. We have Alex picking Minnesota over Green Bay. Love it. Foster picking Buffalo over the Colts. Kind of another spicy pick. The Colts are a pretty solid team too. Garlic is picking Carolina over Washington. Brandon is also picking the Patriots over the Falcons tonight. Luke is joining me with the Dolphins over the Jets. And we have Justin picking the Packers over the Vikings. Justin, welcome to the competition. And Jared, both guys that I'm in a different league with. Jared is picking Tennessee over Houston this week.
All right. I just want to say welcome to all of our newcomers. Please join the Discord. It would make life a lot easier. You will actually be able to see because I actually posted a link to this to the table that you see up on your screen right there. So being able to join the Discord, which you can find the Discord in the link in the chat. But also there's many ways to talk to us. Plus you'll be able to see this awesome table and kind of keep track of your stuff. This week for my pick, who am I going to pick? Yikes. I don't think I've picked Miami yet.
You have not.
I'm going to go with Miami over the New York Jets.
Copycat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pick the Jets, you coward.
Okay, fine. You want me to pick another one?
No, you can pick them with mine.
No,
I'm all for it.
That's fine. I can go with another one. Let's see here. I haven't picked. Oof. Have I picked Las Vegas? I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders over the Cincinnati Bengals. How about that? That'll be my official pick.
I like it. It's spicy.
So the Las
All
Vegas
right.
Raiders. So cool. Make sure you write that down in the notes so we
I
all
got
figure out. Perfect. Cool. So that is pretty much
That is it.
everything there. So let's go on back to what we were doing now. What is next? What are we doing next here, Jack? We got swimming upstream. That is
We do.
dope. So let's do that. All right. Okay. So last week in our swimming upstream, we did not have a very good week.
It was not good.
We probably picked the most doo-doo of players out there. We picked Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
There was a nice little interesting tweet in our group chat today for the Victorious POD. Do you remember what that tweet was about? I can tell you who it was about. It was about Matt Ryan, but do you remember the context of that tweet?
No.
Okay, I do. So I will
Okay.
I will inform you. There are, Jack, let me ask you this. How many NFL teams are there in the how many NFL teams are there?
32.
Okay. And so that means that there was four teams on bye last week. So that would mean that 28 teams played. All right. Matt Ryan was ranked the 34th quarterback out of 28 starting quarterbacks.
Good God, man.
He netted us 0.68 points.
There's our bye week right there.
I mean, it's episode 66.
Good God.
It's episode 66. Is there anything you would like to do at this point when it comes to Matt Ryan?
Never speak of him again.
Oh, I'm okay. Well, I set you up and you just totally dropped the ball, but that's fine. We'll move on. Last week we're gonna go over our top 12 quarterbacks for week 10. The top 5 last week: Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, and Mac Jones. And then let's see here, Trevor Siemian. Those were your top 5. To note, I would like to let everybody know that Mac Jones, Trevor Siemian, Taylor Heineke, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Mason Rudolph, they are all free agents in the Victoria's Secret Fantasy Football League, and they were all top 12 quarterbacks. Seeing Mason Rudolph as a top 12 quarterback last week just makes me want to throw up in my mouth. That is disgusting. How about the week 10 top 12 free agent quarterbacks last week? We had Mac Jones, Trevor Siemian, Taylor Heineke, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mason Rudolph. Those were your top 5. At the bottom, you saw Joe Flacco, who had 5.88 points. That was more than Matt Ryan.
Better than Matt Ryan.
That was disgusting. Season long, we got Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson as your top 5. I am finally happy that Patrick Mahomes is back on top where he should be. Jack, what were your options this week? What were you thinking? Who do you want to pick?
Not a lot of great options. Most of the best guys have been picked up at this point, unfortunately. My decision pretty much came down to 2 guys. I was looking at just, again, as always, rushing upside if I can get it. No way am I picking Roethlisberger. Flacco doesn't excite me as a starter this week. Trevor Siemian has no upside. Same with Baker, Garoppolo, whatever. So I really came down between Tua, who is playing against the worst defense in the league, the New York Jets. He's been kind of spotty, missing some games due to injury, but when he's started, he's done, pretty well for the most part. And then the newly announced likely starter for this week, Cam Newton, who is back with the Panthers. He had 2 plays. His first 2 plays were touchdowns last week, a pass and a rush. So, he used to be elite at the quarterback position with his rushing ability. They do play Washington, who I'm curious to see how it's going to be. They lost Chase Young, so he's one of their best defenders. Their head coach is Ron Rivera, who is very familiar with Cam. So, it'll be interesting either way. My fear is that he hasn't been outright named the starter. He's been splitting reps with PJ Walker all week. And I feel like Cam will be the starter, but I think they're going to have packages for both quarterbacks as Cam gets used to the offense. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Walker come in there. And anytime you have a quarterback splitting time, it's not going to be great. So, well, I think Cam probably has the higher upside this week. I just would be too worried locking it in on Thursday night, at least till we get some clarity. So I am going with Tua, the Jets defense that I mentioned before, which is a dumpster fire. The last 5 weeks, every quarterback who's played them has been a top 12 fantasy scoring quarterback. And the last 4 weeks, 3 of the last 4 weeks, it has been a top 5 quarterback. So whether it's a good quarterback or not, the Jets can't stop anything. Tua has playmakers. He can run a little bit. I think he's got a good chance to break like the 20-point mark this week, maybe catch up some points for us.
Okay. Last week I did not pick someone to go against you. I was going to pick up
Tua go against me?
Tua go against you. I was going to pick up Mac Jones, but spoiler, somebody already picked him up in our league, so I can't use him. But I am going to...
Hey, Matt Ryan's available.
I'm going to go with Justin Fields this week against Baltimore. So we'll see how that goes. If you just want to make a little note in there, and we will...
Sure.
Let me ask you this. Are you ready for, or like, if we were to talk about our next thing that we were talking about introducing today on the pod, like if we were to just kind of go over it live, would you be like able to put that stuff in or not? Like, would you be able to pick
I
your
can put
guys?
it in the notes as we go.
Okay. All right. I do believe I have the spreadsheet up if you've seen the spreadsheet, so I'll load that up here real quick then too.
Love it. Let's do it.
Perfect. Let's do this then. We're gonna transition back over to here. Okay. I want my chat to stay. It's really frustrating that my chat never stays. Like it always restarts. I got to figure that out. All right. All right. So this week we are going to be introducing something new to you guys, and I don't have an image for it, but I do. We can talk about it here a little bit. This is called the Stream Team Challenge, and it's going to be part of our Swimming Upstream segment. And essentially what it's going to be me and Jack going head-to-head against players who are on the waiver wire. And the stipulations are it's the player has to have 65% or below, so a max of 65% rostered across all leagues on ESPN. So I've made up a team: quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex spot. That's it, 7 players. And I hadn't talked about the specifics with scoring with Jack. Jack, do you want to do straight up or do you want to do PPR, half point PPR? I mean, what are you feeling here?
Let's do half, just to keep it in the middle. I was going to say I picked my lineup being straight up, just standard, because that's how our league is. But we'll do half, just so it's kind of like can cover everybody's leagues out there.
Okay, so we're going to do half point PPR, and it's going to be standard scoring for your quarterbacks and running back. I mean, like rushing, receiving, passing, touchdowns. That's all standard. Except we're just going to be adding the half point PPR. Jack? Who is going to be your stream team quarterback for this week?
I am doubling down on my Swimming Upstream pick. I am sticking with Tua. I just think the upside is really good, and there's not a whole lot of better options. We had a couple of guys above. I mean, it pretty much cuts off right below Derek Carr. So could have gone Cousins, could have gone Wentz. I'm never picking Matt Ryan again, but I like Tua this week for like a safe, 16 plus points at least.
Okay, and I am going to go with Mac Jones as my quarterback this week. So, let's see here. Dang it. Oh, well. All right. Who is going to be your set of running backs?
I am going with, first off, Jones's teammate. Spoiler alert, everybody. This, at least for me, Walters, I don't know how you feel, but it was much harder for me to pick running backs that didn't make me throw up in my mouth, whereas the rest of the positions were pretty easy. So I don't know if we have to look at like higher percent running backs, but I think running backs are so valuable. Everybody has them on their teams. So that being said, I ended up going with Mac Jones' teammate this week, which obviously we know Damian Harris is healthy and playing tonight, but I went with Ramondre Stevenson, the rookie who erupted last week. I'm banking on him still getting some work, especially if Harris is hobbled and the Falcons can't stop anybody. And then I kind of was scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to find somebody else, because obviously at this point, none of these guys at 65% or below are really lead back, so to speak. So I am also going with J.D. McKissick, who gets all of the receiving work in Washington. Same kind of situation where his lead back Gibson is hurt but playing. So those are my two guys this week.
And who is your lead back? I'm sorry, your first one.
Ramondre Stevenson.
I don't know how to spell that. Damn it.
I'm typing them in, so you don't have to worry.
Well, I mean, I'm doing it on.
We can do it later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
My
later,
two running backs are, and again, this is gonna make me throw up all over in my mouth. Deonta Foreman for the Tennessee Titans. He is going to be my stream team RB1. And then Nyheim Hines is going to be my stream team RB2. I feel like the game strip for Nyheim Hines could be a good one since they're just going to be absolutely getting destroyed by the Buffalo Bills. And so they're going to need to pass the ball. You don't think so?
I like that. I don't know that they'll be necessarily destroyed. I think the Colts have looked really good lately. I think the Bills will win, but I bet it's a closer game. But I like the Hines pick. He's very similar to McKissick in that way. So I feel like our teams are pretty similar there.
Okay.
Moving into receiver, I will list my two receivers first.
Okay.
Kind of the same thing. Receiver was a little bit easier, but I basically just kind of went with guys that either kind of one of each. I went with one that has the potential to be the alpha guy, and then I went with another one who I'm just banking on volume and getting lucky with a touchdown or something here and there. So for my first guy, I went with Darnell Mooney out of the Bears. He is questionable as of now, so I'll have to pick like a pivot sub-in option for Sunday. But Allen Robinson hasn't even practiced this week, and for some reason Fields seems to like Mooney a lot more than A-Rob. So I think him going against the Ravens, who I'm expecting to be up early and often, I like as the upside. Mooney has had some splash weeks, especially last week. He had 17.5 points in just standard scoring. So he is my first guy. And my second guy, I really didn't like any options. I feel like they're all very similar, but I'm going with Michael Gallup. He looked pretty good coming back for the first time. He didn't do a ton on the stat sheet, but I think he just looked well running routes and everything. And Dak has liked him in the past. They're playing the Chiefs, who A, they're going to have to score a lot to keep up against, and B, the Chiefs secondary is non-existent. So I think the chances of Gallup getting a touchdown in there is pretty high. And if nothing else, I think he'll get half a dozen targets.
Okay. My two wide receivers are going to be the rookie phenom out of the New York Jets organization, Elijah Moore. He is going to be my wide receiver one. It's scary because you've had 4 different quarterbacks over the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and you're playing Joe Flacco, who I'm sure if Ben Roethlisberger and Joe Flacco had an arm wrestling contest, it would like be over in a minute because both would be winded and they wouldn't be able to finish.
They'd both be on the IR the next day.
Yeah, correct. I mean, they would give everything that they have and then they would just go to sleep afterwards. That's how old they are. Okay. And then my wide receiver 2 is going to be Marquez Callaway. I feel like he has seen an uptick in targets and receptions as well. I think with Trevor Siemian kind of giving the quarterback situation some stability, even though Trevor Siemian is not an upgrade to Jameis or the other guy. I can't even remember his name. But
Taysom, Siemian.
Yeah, Taysom. Yeah, I think the stability there just makes the offense go a little bit smoother when it comes to the passing game. All right. What is going to be your tight end of choice this week?
I'll give you my tight end and my flex. We'll just kind of keep doing 2 and 2.
I like it.
My tight end, I considered Conklin, but I really don't know what to expect against the Packers this week. Conklin has looked good, but on weeks where he doesn't score, it seems like he kind of disappears as far as yardage goes. So I'm going with a guy that I've picked up in DFS a lot, actually, and that is going to be Dan Arnold out of the Jaguars. He's gotten the last 3 weeks, he's had 10, 7, and 7 targets. He hasn't had less than 60 yards in any of them. They're going against the 49ers, who I expect to be winning this week. So that combined with the fact that Trevor Lawrence hasn't really had like a huge breakout game with one guy yet. I mean, tight end is such a dart throw for a touchdown, so who knows? But I like Arnold at least getting the volume. And then for my flex, I ended up going back to wide receiver here just because it was a struggle even picking 2 running backs before, but I am going with another guy who he did miss practice today, but it was for an illness, not an injury. So I we'll have to make sure that there's another pivot option available for me. But I am going with a different rookie phenom who I thought you were going to take when you said Elijah Moore. I am going with, out of the Ravens, Rashad Bateman, who has looked very, very good in the few weeks that he's come up. He's been a really good compliment, like a 1B to Hollywood Brown in Baltimore. So the 4 weeks he's played this season, he's had 6, 6, 8, and 8 targets. He's hit 80 yards twice. I think Lamar is liking him. They're playing against the Bears, who really don't have a great secondary. So I'm picking him and Darnell Mooney as my other receiver going head-to-head this week.
I love it. My tight end for this stream challenge is going to be Hunter Henry. This is the highest percentage of rosters this player is on. He's on 58.8% of rosters. Hunter Henry has been a beast, just absolutely just solid tight end. I wish I would have had the stats on him, more stats on him that I could pull up, but I don't. But I feel like tonight he will just feast on the Atlanta Falcons. And then my flex player is a guy that is rostered 16% of all ESPN rosters. Brian Edwards of the Las Vegas Raiders. He is going to be my flex play. I feel like he is going to be the number one wide receiver out there. With Ruggs obviously not there anymore, I feel like the volume for him is sky high. So the chances for him to score points is sky high. So that is absolutely my team. And if you guys join the Discord, and I'll make sure I post this on social media as well. You can find me at Panic Man Walters on Twitter, and you can find Jack at Vickers Jack on Twitter as well. You will be able to see our lineups. So, and we'll get that stuff out to you real quick. I'm sorry we do not have a screen for this right now, but it is.
We'll update you next week, though.
Yeah, we will definitely update you for sure. All right. I don't think I have anything else. Why don't we get into our tailgate segment? Are you ready for the tailgate segment, Jack?
Yeah, let's do it.
We never told anybody who our teams were brought to us by, so this is the tailgate zone. What are you drinking, Jack?
I am drinking a little good old-fashioned A&W root beer. Don't mind the glare there. Love this stuff. We actually have an A&W right in town here, like less than a mile away, and they have the root beer out of the kegs and taps, which is much better, but love the stuff. And then Christine picked up some like garlic, lemon, chicken stuff from the deli today. So I'm having a little bit of a sandwich, and that's about it.
Delicious. All right. Why don't you go into the first question into the Discord that we have?
Yeah.
And I'm going to grab my drink, and we'll go from there, okay?
Okay. I will cover this one, and we'll set you up for the second one. So, first question we had from Al posting in the Discord. He actually posted it shortly after last week's episode, but he said, this is aged poorly because I've dropped the ball in some swimming upstream. But he said, you guys are the 9th best fantasy quarterbacks so far. At what point does that change your narrative of drafting quarterbacks versus streaming? Just some perspective, you're in the Rodgers, Stafford, Russell, Jalen Hurts, and Burrow range of ESPN average draft position. I don't know if it changes a lot for me. I think the reason that I started this segment last year was because, or that I came up with the idea and we started it, was just because I've been famous for trying to draft quarterbacks later. Sometimes it doesn't pan out. Like I had Ryan Tannehill in a couple leagues this year that I was the last guy to take a quarterback in our league. I wouldn't say that he has performed like I thought he would. He's getting better as the season goes, but totally get wanting to get your quarterback and just lock him up. But I feel like it says more to be able to play the right matchups. I mean, obviously you're going to start Mahomes no matter what, but there are situations where you're not going to want to play like the Burrows or the, Jalen Hurts or guys like that. So I think to use a higher pick on one of them, let's say, and like take them in the 7th, 8th round when you aren't even sure you're going to start them every week against good teams, I think that's tough. Like I'd much rather use the depth pick on like a running back when everybody gets hurt this year or something like that. So I think, it's not to say that you just shouldn't draft a quarterback no matter what. I just think you should be more comfortable with getting those guys and that like being the 8th to 12th team to pick one versus I will probably never ever spend up to get that like top 3 or 4 quarterbacks off the board. I think it's just there's too many other good players that can help your team at like an increasing amount of return in those positions. So that's my take on that one. I'm assuming Walters isn't back yet because I have not heard him.
I'm here.
So okay. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, okay. So I'm pretty sure you stated this is the question about streaming quarterbacks, right? Like when you draft, like, are you just drafting a quarterback? All right. First off, it all depends on where you are in the draft. Okay. Like, I had the opportunity to pick up Patrick Mahomes. Am I going to just let Patrick Mahomes go by so I can string quarterbacks? Absolutely not. You know, I'm not sure if you said this because I wasn't here, but whatever. So, I mean, you really have to figure out where you are in the draft. And unfortunately, it kind of has to be one of those, not necessarily a spur of the moment decision, but like, if you're not comfortable taking a quarterback where you're at, then yeah, move on and pick a player that you think would be better in that spot. And at some point, you can just be like, well, looks like I'm going to be streaming. Now, the problem with streaming is exactly what we saw last week when it comes to Matt Ryan. He put up a stinker, just an absolute stinker. But for the most part, if you have confidence in the players that you're picking, I feel like you can go with a streaming option. But it really all depends. Like I said, it all really depends on where you fall in the draft. Any thoughts on any of that?
No, I agree. I said before you got back, I'm probably never going to be one of the first guys to take a quarterback because I just don't think the value is worth it. But I also feel like you got to go into your drafts not with a plan. Like, totally get it if you don't want to take a quarterback in the first, like the third or the fourth round. But even in our draft this year, I came into it being like, I might take one in the fifth or the sixth. I might take one in the seventh. I might wait till the 10th. And it kind of just depends on if there's a guy there that I'm looking at. Like, you've got targets in every round. If your targets are gone and you're just like, I don't love any of the running backs here like I was hoping, you got to be able to pivot to that and then be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to lock up my quarterback a round or two earlier than I thought. So just finding guys you're comfortable with. I like the tier-based drafting, so you can be like, well, I'm not targeting Stafford, but I mean, if he's here in the late fifth and guys A, B, and C are gone, then maybe I'll go Stafford instead.
Okay.
So that's all I really have to say on that one.
Yeah. I think what we should try and do is we should go back and look at our league history and see where the champion of that year, where they drafted their quarterback, and see exactly how the data pans out on that. I'd be really interested to see.
I can tell you the year that I won the championship where I drafted my quarterback.
Okay.
The final 15th round.
Really? No kidding.
Matt Ryan's MVP year, baby.
Oh my God. All right. Let's see here.
Took him in the final round, and it paid off because the rest of my team was loaded.
Let's see here. Last year, obviously, I had Josh Allen. And let's see here.
One of the higher pick guys, but he was obviously worth it.
Yeah. Let's see here.
That should be something we should bring up like next week, though, as like a bite of just like, hey, here's what we figured out.
Yeah, that would be fun. Let's see here. When did I pick him?
Just to save some time on tonight's.
I picked up. No way. I picked up Josh Allen in the 11th round last year.
That was before he blew up with Diggs.
Yeah, that was
because he didn't have a true guy before that.
Okay, just to catch up on chat, Alex Glick, thanks, man. I've never known that you've ever watched or listened to our stuff, so I really appreciate you hanging out in chat. Join the Discord, subscribe, do whatever. We need those subs and we need those follows. Trying to get to 100. This week I have Tropical Fun Pants by my favorite local brewery here, that is Lupulin Brewing out in Big Lake, Minnesota. That's good stuff. He wants to know if we catch up or if we pay attention to chat, and we absolutely pay attention to chat. And I just wanted to say I am really, really sorry about my Streamlabs bot just going absolutely insane right now in the chat. So that's it. I'm real sorry about that. Let's see here. I see that we have the Fantasy Football Hacks podcast in our chat as well. Shout out to those guys. Go check those guys out on Twitch. Thank you very much. I'm just absolutely loving all of the chat right now, so I think that's fantastic. I do have I do have one question for you that I posted in our Q&A, Jack. Are the number of moves that you make on the waiver wire, is that a good metric to how well of a draft you had? What are your thoughts on the number of waiver pickups compared to how well you did in your draft?
I don't think there's a whole lot of correlation. I mean, you could argue that if you have a ton of moves, you drafted poorly because you're having to like audible and change through a lot. But then again, if I were in first place, I feel like I'd still be making moves every single week. I mean, you might not be drafting or picking up waiver guys like to start because you don't need them because your team is great. But I think I'm still swapping and adding guys just for depth pieces. So I would say it's more of a correlation of the less waiver moves you make, probably the poorer you're doing. Obviously, somebody could be out there making 50 waiver moves and still be towards the bottom of the standings because of bad luck. But I think if you're low number of waiver moves, you're almost guaranteed to be doing worse than you probably would be. It just kind of shows a sign of like a probably not as engaged team leader or team owner to put it that way.
Okay. All right. So absolutely no correlation. I mean, like, because there can be active people for sure. I get that. But like for me, and it's not because I'm not active and I'm not looking. I'm satisfied with what I have. And I'm not saying that going to get these guys are going to make my team better or make them worse. But I'm just like, if I'm satisfied with the depth that I have on my team, what is the point in like going out there and trying to do it until you actually need to get somebody to replace on your team? So you're not, I wouldn't say you're wasting your fab, but you know, making moves as a necessity rather than making moves just to make a move. Like, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get if you just like have the perfect team that you don't have to worry about it. I'm not saying do one just to make one, but I have trouble believing that like no team out there has like their worst player that they could be dropping versus for somebody slightly better on the waivers. I mean, you might not need somebody this week, but it's more the idea of like picking somebody up that could turn into potential. Like they have a higher potential in the next couple of weeks or as a backup. Like Jordan said it really well too. It's not necessarily that you're like better or worse off with how many waiver moves you make. It's just how much you're paying attention. So getting a guy that's like, oh, he did pretty well this week. Like Bateman, I picked him up like 2 weeks before he came back from IR, where I'm saying, okay, he's not going to do anything yet, but like I think he has a really good chance when he comes back. So I think it just shows you're paying attention more. Obviously, there's always going to be teams that are doing better with little moves and teams that are doing worse with big moves. But I think it's more of the more moves you make, the probably the better or the higher ceiling your team has. So like say post draft, my team as is, if I didn't make any moves, was going to be, I don't know, 6-7. If I'm making a ton of moves, I think it's a lot more likely that my team ends up like 8-5. Whereas if I'm making no moves, I'm probably dropping like on the lower end of it. So it's your own team's potential to increase or to do better.
Okay, right on. And then there was one more that somebody asked in a different chat room. Do you want to pull that one up? And while you're doing that,
Yeah.
I just wanted to shout out. We got the GOAT. We've got Jordan, my buddy. He is chilling in chat. He is asking me if I have the perfect fantasy team. And Jordan, I will get back to you on that because the answer may or may not surprise you. So we will definitely be getting into all of that. Jack, what is our fan question that we have?
We had one fan write in, Sergeant Dew, asking about TJ Hawkinson versus Dalton Schultz this week. I just think Hawkinson is probably the better upside. Schultz has had a good season, but it was a lot more front loaded where he hasn't done much since. That plus the return of Gallup, I think, takes away looks and targets from an already stacked Dallas offense for Schultz, whereas I believe Goff possibly might not be starting this week due to injury, which if that's the case, a backup quarterback's best friend is a tight end. And I think Hawkinson, I know, had a rough week last week, and he's had a couple and not performed as well as we were hoping. But I still think he's got a lot higher, like definitely a lot higher floor, we'll put it that way, where Schultz or Gallup or, anybody on the Cowboys could just as easily have a week this week with like 1 or 2 targets and that's it. So I would go Hawkinson. That's just me, and that's all I will say about that, just for time's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna echo those thoughts. I don't think that. I mean, you have the number one target out there in Detroit. I mean, you got to play him regardless if you have somebody as dumpy as Jared Goff throwing him the ball. But I mean, that's just me. But yeah, I would say Hawkinson over Schultz for sure. There's too many mouths to feed in Dallas for me to want any part of that. But all right, we are going to be moving on into our Victorious Secret segment. This segment here is stuff all dedicated to our league, but we absolutely talk about general fantasy players as well. So even though we are talking about specific matchups in our league, we are breaking down players. So absolutely stick around for sure. Hey, and I just want to say thanks to everybody out there. We have 7 viewers out there. I mean, we've been keeping our numbers up these last few weeks, and I just want to say how much I appreciate all of you guys checking us out. Moving on, we have our matchup recaps from last week. I'm pulling up my picture here so I can actually read them. Last week, I played Ben. I thought it was going to be a close game, but I ended up smoking him 104.34 to his 71.92. His top performers were Jonathan Taylor, the Indy defense, and George Kittle. Mine were Patrick Mahomes, Deebo Samuel, and Austin Eckler. Moving on, Jay played Ryan and just beat him out barely, 80.9 to 79.8. Ryan is on a 4-game losing streak. Ouch. His top performers were the Dallas defense, Derek Carr, and Ezekiel Elliott. Jay's top performers were Mark Ingram, James Robinson, and Tom Brady. Moving on, we have Katie versus Tyler in what could possibly be the most, well, I don't know if there's been a lower scoring matchup this year, but it's possible. These last few weeks, there's always been a dud for sure. We have Katie beating out the commissioner 67.1 to 48.42. Tyler's top performers were Lamar Jackson, Tennessee defense, Noah Fant, and then Katie's top performers were AJ Dillon, Justin Herbert, and Tony Pollard. Moving on, we have Foster versus Jack. Foster absolutely took Jack out behind the woodshed, 101.94 to 77.82. Jack, your top performers were Ryan Tannehill, James Conner, and Travis Kelce. Foster's top performers were Josh Allen, Darrell Williams, I got it, and Mark Andrews. Moving on, Jordan versus Cassie. Cassie coming out with the upset, 90.44 to Jordan's 82.44. Cassie's top performers were Dak Prescott, Dalvin Cook, and Zane Gonzalez. Jordan's top performers were CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, and Justin Jefferson. And our last matchup that we have, Alex versus Josh. Alex beat Josh 93.12 to Josh's 90.4. Josh's top performers were Tyreek Hill, nope, I have Deontay Johnson. I don't know who that D Johnson is.
Dearness Johnson?
Dearness Johnson, thank you. Dearness Johnson and Najee Harris. Alex has Stephon Diggs, Jalen Hurts, and Harrison Butker as his top performers. We are going to be moving on to our standings here. You can see that I am at the top. That's right. I am at the top of the leaderboard, 7-3. I have the most points for. I have the third most points against. Come at me. Let's effing go. Followed by Jordan, who is in second place. So my team is perfect because it is on top. Followed by Tyler, who is also tied at 7-3. Then we have Foster and Ben at 6-4. Jay and Katie at 5-5. Josh and Alex at 4-6. Ryan, Jack, and Cassie bringing up the rear at 3-7. Jack, you are not in last place, but you're tied for last place. Are you concerned that you are going to have to run the NFL Combine drills this summer?
Extremely. I feel like I've had a lot of bad luck with injuries and stuff. I think my team is definitely better than last. I'm not saying I'm top 5, 6 or anything, but I would hope I can get lucky with a couple of them, especially with Saquon hopefully coming back. So we will see. But yeah, it's not looking great so far.
Alex Glick is telling me that my team being perfect because I'm in first place is a loser's mindset. Glick, when you see my roster, it's gonna blow your mind, bro. Just trust me on that. All right, we are gonna be moving on here. We have, I know I need some sound bites here, don't I? We'll get there. We have our Week 11 late waiver claims. Now, I put little submarines next to all of the pickups that were actually added. That way I can see what the difference was. But also, we're at the point in the season where we're so far down in the depths of the waiver wire pool that you almost need a submarine to be able to find a player to actually pick up. So that's why I put little submarines there. So hope you guys like that. Jack, is there anything interesting that you see on this waiver claim board on this waiver claim board here presented in front of everybody?
Let me get my glasses out here. I mean, not really. Like Tim Patrick for $3, everybody else for 1 and 0. I don't see a whole lot. I think it's pretty standard stuff at this point. So nothing very exciting to me.
Tim Patrick went for $3. No, Mac Jones went for $3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the opposite. I mean, I don't think you're going to start Mac Jones a whole lot of weeks. So not really. Brian Edwards could end up something maybe towards the end of the season. Kenny Galladay, maybe now that he's back, not that he's ever healthy, but not a whole lot. I'm not super interested in any of these.
Okay. All right. One thing I will say is I do like Jay's addition of Zach Ertz for $0. I really think if Kyler Murray gets back, you'll be able to see more for Zach Ertz. Other than that, I don't really have anything else.
Yeah.
So
let's just move on.
Cool beans. We are going to be moving into our next segment, which is the I believe it's going to be our matchup previews, which it is. And let's go over to that one. And why can't I see what I want to see? All right, hold on one second.
I'll let you give your 2 cents into it first, and then I'll just wrap up whatever you don't have covered, just so we can keep these kind of brief.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's see here. I need to go into here. What is it that I cannot see? Is that what's going on? Okay, that is what's going on. Ooh. All right. Let's get rid of that one. Okay, did it work? I hope so. It kind of worked. Well, we'll go with it. All right. I hit the transition button. Here we go. All right. So our first matchup that we have here is going to be Jordan versus Alex. And I don't know why, but I recropped it and it still cut off my players. That is super frustrating. All right. So Jordan versus Alex. What do you see in this matchup? Jordan is projected. I can't even see it. I got to bring it up on my screen over here. Do you have it? Do you see what it is? What he's projected?
Yeah, Jordan's projected 94.2. Alex is projected 83.6. Not really sure why Alex's is so low, but yeah.
Okay. Who do you see in this matchup? Is there anything exciting that you're seeing? I mean, what is it that excites you in this matchup?
Jordan having Russell, who obviously was back last week, but I think needed another week of rehab. I think him plus McCaffrey, like I said, Jordan's team's getting healthy at the right time. Justin Jefferson and CD both this week are very, very exciting to me. I don't love a whole lot of his tight end flex and beyond, but his starting, 4 or 5 guys is pretty exciting. Where Alex has a question mark on Gibson. I think really what's going to come down to is how either of the Vikings receivers do. I feel like I read somewhere where like neither Thielen nor Jefferson has been a top 30 wide receiver when the other one has done well. Like they've never both been top 30 together. It might be 24. It's either 24 or 30, but crazy where it seems like if one has a good week, the other one's non-existent, and they're playing each other with Alex and Jordan's teams. So I think that's what it'll come down to this week is who gets the touchdowns and the big yardage.
Okay. Looking at these matchups, like I'm seeing, for your flex for Alex, like Jordan Howard, like would you rather be playing, like an AJ Green or maybe like a Chase Claypool? Like, what are your thoughts on starting though, like a player like that over Jordan Howard, or do you think Jordan Howard is the right play?
Claypool is questionable, so if he was healthy, for sure I'd be in. AJ Green has Kyler Murray, who's questionable too, so I think that's tough. I think Jordan Howard's kind of unfortunately who he's stuck with for now, even with Miles Sanders coming back. So unless one of the other guys has the health question marks fixed, I think that's who you got to go with.
Okay, all right. Would you? I can't remember if you stated this or not. Would you have rather started Ramondre Stevenson over Marcus Johnson for Jordan's team?
I probably would have, but it would have been close. Johnson had a good week last week, but he's relative unknown otherwise. So I probably would have gone Stevenson myself, but what do I know? Jordan's on the top, near the top of the standings for a reason. So
Okay. All right. We can move on to our next matchup here for sure.
okay,
And moving on. All right. We now have Ryan versus Tyler. And what is it that you see here in these matchups?
Tyler having to start Devontae Freeman as his second running back is super gross. I don't think he's going to be the lead guy. I think they're going to be activating Latavius to do some stuff here. Same thing. Antonio Brown's a big question mark. So I think there's a couple of guys on Tyler's team. His team is very, very top heavy. The studs are insane, but the question marks worry me a little bit more. Whereas Ryan's team feels a little bit more balanced. I expect Gaskin, who's struggled, to have actually a pretty good week this week going against the Jets. I think for Ryan to win, he's going to have Kyler actually get healthy. But Zeke, Lockett now with Russell Wilson back. I think I like his team across the board a little bit more. It's just that Tyler's studs have been so good that it has been enough. So I think with the question marks, I'm actually going to go Ryan for the upset. But if Brown ends up playing and something happens where Freeman gets, at least 50% of the carries, Tyler's got a very good shot.
Okay. Looking at this here, I for some reason I just feel like even though Ryan has a 10-point lead, like I feel like Ryan is just due for a win. Like he's got 4 losses in a row. He's been more due than ever. I feel like he's going to be able to come in and beat Tyler. A few players that I wanted to highlight on here real quick. He's still got 3 quarterbacks, Ryan does. Do you think Ryan is just playing keep away with quarterbacks at this point? Or like what is it that makes you think that Ryan would want to have 2 quarterbacks on his bench?
Nothing really to me. I just don't think it makes sense to have 3 at all. I mean, he has even like 2 quarterbacks. Like his options are decent, so I really don't think that there's a reason. I can't imagine you can't find somebody that has some kind of an upside. So I get having a backup with Kyler being unknown, but yeah, I don't get it. I think you're playing Kyler, and I'd be fine dropping either one and just streaming somebody as needed. So
Yeah. Over on Tyler's side, Brandon Ayuk is in his flex, but he has Elijah Moore on the bench. Thoughts between Ayuk and Moore? So Ayuk obviously has more time in the league. He probably has more trust with Garoppolo. But he is sitting behind Debo, where on the other side you have Elijah Moore, who is this phenom rookie wide receiver, but you have that quarterback carousel in New York. What are your thoughts about Elijah Moore over Brandon Ayuk?
It's tough. I think they've both had a couple of good weeks recently after not doing a whole lot the rest of the year. I would maybe ride the hot hand with Elijah Moore because I think Flacco's the one that got him the touchdown last week, but it's close. I mean, Ayuk is probably was better last year. He's just struggled this year. So I think either way is not too much of a difference.
Do you have a preference on which one you'd rather play?
I guess probably Elijah, just riding the hot hand, but it's 51-49. It's pretty close.
Okay. And then what about AJ Brown? How concerned are you about AJ Brown? I mean, he's had a rough last few weeks. I mean, he did have 21 and a half and a 19 and a half 2 weeks in a row, but that was week 7 and week 8. And then like outside of that, you're looking at games that are less than 5 points, and there's even a game in there where he has less than 1 point. How confident are you in starting AJ Brown?
I think he'll bounce back this week. I think the first half of the season was a lot just because Henry was getting like record-setting volume. Last week they played the Saints, which is one of the tougher, like stingier defenses there is. And then this week they're playing the Texans, who I think you could pretty much move the ball on at will. So with Julio out, I think he'll get a good chunk of targets. I think this is kind of a get right game for him. So I'm not super concerned as of right now.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to our next one, we have Foster versus Jay. In this matchup, you have Foster, who is projected 97.8 to Jay's 90.7. Is there anything of note that that you see in this matchup that's worth commenting on?
Jay's side of the ball, just I'm concerned with running backs, like injury question marks. Kamara still hasn't practiced really fully or even partly this week. And Ingram looked great last week without him, so I think they could easily just give Kamara some more rest for the playoffs. James Robinson is limited as well. I like Jay's receiver matchups this week, but I again, Hopkins is also questionable, so I think just Jay's team is not fully healthy, and it concerns me a little bit. Whereas I really like Foster's team overall. Like Fournette's been basically an RB1 at this point. Williams is a question mark because you don't know if CEH is going to come back, but it sounds like he won't. So that on top of Devonta Adams, Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, and Elijah Mitchell, who's expected to play against a terrible defense, I think his whole team just looks like a stud lineup to me. So I think it's just a lot of question marks for Jay, and at an unfortunate time to play a top team like Foster. So,
looking at Foster's team, he's got Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the bench. Looking at both of the, like, are you playing Darrell Williams or Leonard Fournette over Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
A million times I'm playing Fournette over Clyde, and then Darrell Williams and Clyde are on the same team. So, I mean, I would just sub Clyde in if he ends up playing, but it sounds like he's trending towards not. So,
okay. And then also looking at it, I see that there is Mark Ingram is on Jay's bench. Are you going to be playing Mark Ingram? Oh, well, you're not going to be. Okay.
Same situation as Clyde, basically, where you can sub him in for Kamara. So they both have a good backup right there.
Yeah, he has both of them. God, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at the flexes and how he has stuff.
You're playing DeAndre no matter what.
Yeah, you got to play DeAndre, but I'm looking at Brandon Cooks and DJ Moore. Like, are you excited about playing DJ Moore at this point in the season? He's had a pretty rough season.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect with what Cam's going to do with him, but I mean, I think you still got to start him. He's still like a wide receiver 2 or better. I mean, at least, and he has the capability for a wide receiver 1. So I think you're not feeling great, but he's in your lineup no matter what.
Okay. All right. What about Zach Ertz? Are you playing Zach Ertz over Dallas Goedert?
No, 0 chance.
Okay. All right. We are going to be moving on then. So our next one here is going to be Ben versus Katie. As of right now, Ben is leading Katie 10.1 to 0. He is projected 86.8 to Katie's 77.6. Katie has her full lineup in. I am assuming she did not start Damian Harris. I mean, I don't know. Is that a yikes, or is that a bold move by Katie for not starting Damian Harris?
It's a yikes because she has Aaron Jones in as her starting running back right now, who's not going to be. So this looks like she just hasn't checked her lineup since last weekend because she started Jones and Dillon together. So I think it's a combo of didn't check your lineup plus Damian Harris playing on a Thursday night game. So yeah,
that's brutal. What else are you seeing in this matchup here?
Ben having issues with bye weeks and injuries and stuff. He's got to start Mac Jones, who's a decent streamer, but not the guy you want, like relying on your season. And Russell Gage in his wide receiver spot. Love his running backs. They're 2 beasts. Love his tight end who's back, but his receivers and his flex really, really scare me. Whereas I probably would have given the edge to Katie if she had like set her lineup before now. But the fact that she's got Aaron Jones in, Chris Carson's probably still out, Damian Harris is playing tonight, and Rashad Penny's the only other option. I think she's going to end up running into issues where she like didn't pay attention to her lineup in time and doesn't have anybody else to play. So long story short, I will go with Ben with not a lot to say on Katie's side.
I don't see anything here that's really worth noting. I mean, Katie's got a whole bunch of big name players that are on her bench due to injury. Chris Carson, Julio Jones. Oh, yikes. So her options here, I'm assuming, are she's going to be taking Aaron Jones out, putting Tony Pollard in where he's at, because that's going to be your best. I mean, you're not starting Rashad Penny. And then your only really other option that you have is Rondale Moore in their flex, unless she's picking somebody else up. So it could be a pretty brutal week. How would you feel if you had to be starting Rondell Moore this week?
Gross, in one word.
Okay. All right. Moving on, we are going to be going into our next matchup here, and that is going to be Cassie versus Jack. Cassie is projected 97.5 to Jack's 98.6. Jack, you are training for the combine, which is interesting.
Yeah. A mid episode team update.
I like it.
This is pretty much going to be it. Much like the Vikings game this week defining their season, this is going to pretty much define whether I have to run combine drills because we're both tied for last. So on paper, Cassie's team looks a lot better than mine, but somehow I'm projected higher, so I don't feel great about that. If I had to guess, I would assume Cassie's going to win pretty easily on the back of Dak going off against the Chiefs, but if Tannehill can light it up against the Texans, I might have a shot here. So we will see. Biggest question mark for me is going to be if Saquon returns and comes back, if I can slide him in. Biggest question mark for Cassie is, God, dude, do enough of her players have a down week to stop all the studs? Like, I would want to play any of her top 5 players. Like, that just looks like a great team. So her team is much better than a bottom team. And yeah, we're going to find out this week.
How do you feel about having to start Miles Sanders in your flex? So on her bench, she's got Kenyon Drake, Jacoby Myers, but he's already started. And then you also have Khalil Herbert and Naeem Hines.
I maybe would have started Jacoby Myers before. I mean, it's looking like a good call that she didn't because he hasn't done much in the first half. But Miles Sanders coming back, I mean, he's going against the Saints, so I hate the matchup. But I mean, he should be the lead guy when he's there. So at least volume, it should be a good baseline for her. So I don't hate it.
Okay. And then over on your side, I'm looking here. Jalen Waddle.
There's nobody I'd change. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Can I talk about our trade discussion that we had this afternoon briefly? Or do you just
sure if you want? Yeah, briefly, sure.
Yeah. So I offered you up. I offered you Deebo Samuel plus Mike Gesicki for your Travis Kelce, and you said no. Can you just elaborate on why you did not like that trade? Not that I think it's a bad call, but I just wanted to just kind of throw out a trade situation there if people are looking to trade to try and maybe bolster their team a few weeks going out of the playoffs since the trade deadline is coming up.
Yeah, it's one of those where it makes sense. You're giving up a key player and a downgrade at a position to get an upgrade at a different position. I mean, Kelsey's one of the most valuable in all of fantasy football, especially if the Chiefs can figure their stuff out going into the playoffs. So I get it. It just more for me was situational where like I told you over text, I'm like, Deebo's great. So I'm not saying that he's not, and he's doing really well this year, but I don't hate my wide receivers as it is. I mean, Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen have both underperformed a little bit, but I don't have a glaring hole where like I'm just scraping together people. They're locked in as my starters no matter what. So for me, I look at it as the upgrade from, say, Amari Cooper to Deebo. Obviously, it is an upgrade because he's doing well, but it's a lot smaller to me than the downgrade from Kelsey to Gesicki. So I just feel like, regardless of you try to target teams that are struggling and maybe like on the playoff bubble, I think the fact that I'm out of it doesn't really change much. I think I just have to have a trade make sense regardless. And for me, it doesn't. So I try not to get into I need all the help I can get, because it hurts me at one starting position while making me better at another. So it's not like it overall would help. I mean, if you had a slightly better tight end, maybe, or if you were trading me a position that I needed a lot more than I feel like I do, maybe. So in some leagues it might make sense, but just for me, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I have Gronkowski on my bench as well, but like he's been hurt, and when is he coming back? Nobody knows. So I didn't want to throw him in part of the trade because he literally has nothing that he can provide for you. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it was worth a
Glick
shot.
Glick just echoed in the chat what I was saying, where he's like, it's not a bad trade. It's a relatively decent trade. It just depends on what my needs are, and my needs just didn't fit with that. So like, if a different team had Kelsey, it would make sense. Or if you were trading for like a Mark Andrews or like another high-end tight end, and a team like that really had terrible receivers, it might fit better. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. I mean, it's just a trade situation that I want to throw out there so
Yeah.
people can figure it out. All right, we are going to be moving on to our last matchup, and that is going to be my matchup, and I am going to be facing Josh this week. Josh, he is projected 97 to my 107.2. I'm looking at this matchup, and the only thing I'm really nervous about is Chris Godwin, because Chris Godwin showed up on the injury report today as a questionable, and I never like to see players go from healthy to questionable so late in the week. So that gives me a little bit of pause about what's going to be happening with Chris Godwin. But if he does not play, I will have no problem sliding in Devonta Smith right off of my bench to cover for him. Looking at Josh's team, I'm really scared of his RB1 and his wide receivers and his tight end and his flex. The only positions that I feel like are going to be a weak spot this week is going to be Aaron Rodgers, his quarterback, and Josh Jacobs. What is it, Jack, that you see in this matchup that is exciting, concerning, worth noting? What do you got?
I just briefly, I think both quarterbacks are going to light up the defenses they're playing. So I think he won't have an issue with quarterback necessarily. I like your running backs a lot more. I think I would probably take Eckler and Chubb, assuming he plays, over Najee, but Najee is really, really good too. Jacobs, I'm just not sold on. His receivers definitely much better. I love Michael Pittman. I'm not that high on Freiermuth this week, I should say. He's been great recently, but they do have Ebron back, and Ben can't move the ball to save his life. So I think that'll be pretty much a wash with him and Gesicki. I think Gesicki will bounce back though from his disappointing last week. And then with Dearness Johnson as flex, I'm not loving that at all. I mean, not that he has much better options, but I'd be tempted to play Mooney if I were Josh in the flex instead. So I would say that would be a better option for Josh. But yeah, I like more of your matchups a lot more. So wouldn't be super worried if I were you.
Gronkowski on my bench. He is projected points this week, which means he had a full go this week. If you have Rob Gronkowski, are you keeping him on your bench or are you playing him this week?
No, if he's healthy, I'm 100% playing him over Gesicki.
Okay. All right. Looking over at Josh's side, I just see Darnell Mooney sitting on his bench. And would you rather put in like Dearness Johnson over Josh Jacobs and then putting Darnell Mooney?
That's what I just.
Damn
that's
it!
what I just
God
said.
dang it! I wasn't listening. Son of a.
Just 20 seconds ago.
I'm sorry. While you're talking.
Same exact thought.
I'm looking at it, and trying to come up with questions. So I'm sorry. It's not that I'm trying to be disrespectful.
Thought. I would have slid Mooney in over Dearness Johnson for sure.
I'm just gonna go kill myself in game after that. All right, cool. Sounds good. All right, I don't think I have anything else.
That's it. We can wrap that section up so we can wrap this whole thing up.
All right, looking at it here, we still are doing pretty good on our viewers, man. I really appreciate everybody just kind of hanging around and just watching our pod. It's been a lot of fun. Again, my chat box is now gone. It's clear. God darn it. So Jack, did you notice what is behind me at all by chance? Like when you're peeking?
I did not.
Well, last week the goat was making fun of my butterflies, so I had to cover up all my butterflies. So I decided to hang up some stuff on the wall. But there's a nice little piece of hardware that's sitting back there. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can read my name a couple of spots up. That's the only part I can see, so that's all that matters to me.
Cool. All right. I just I'm really excited that I was able to get this space kind of set up for more streaming and stuff like that. So I'm assuming your utility room is going to be the perfect studio for you as well, right?
Yeah, I will be eventually once we get this little put together a little more.
All right. So in the chat here, real quick, we have Antonio Gibson or Jeff Wilson if Elijah Mitchell doesn't play. I'm definitely going Jeff Wilson Jr.
Gibson.
Okay. Well, there's that. I just think that if I remember right, I don't know if it's a negative matchup for the Washington football team. I'm taking a look here real quick on who
they're playing. Carolina, so no.
Oh yeah. Okay. So maybe Gibson is the play. Luke is asking Gronk over Hawk as well. Are you
Yes,
playing? Okay, Jack is
I
going to
am.
play Gronk. I am going to take the approach that if you have Hawk, I'm going to play Jasicki. Like I'm playing Jasicki over Gronk. I'm going to let Gronk do Gronk things on the bench for a week, just because. Um, Especially if you're fighting for a playoff spot, I would say take the points in Jasicki. Gronk might be. When did he play his last game? Who did he play? I don't even remember. But he was in for like what, 1 or 2, 3 or 4 or 5 snaps. He had one target, if that, and he came out of the game. So I would say watch Gronk on the bench for a week. But Jack thinks to play him. Jack, why would you be playing Gronk?
Brady is going to light the Giants up this week. He usually comes out swinging after he has a really bad week the previous time. So I expect him to put up a lot of points. Anytime Brady and Gronk play when they're both healthy, there's just points like crazy to Gronk. He's his favorite receiving option no matter what. Antonio Brown's expected to be out. Godwin's on the injury report. They don't have a lot of other options. The Giants can't stop anybody. If Gronk is in, if Gronk is healthy coming into the week, he's a top 5 tight end position to me option every single week.
I agree. I mean, I really do think that Gronk is going to be a league winner this year if you have him. But I still just want to just play it cautious. So I'll wait a week. That's fine. Hawk, definitely I would wait a week. He's the number 1 target out there. But that's just me. So, I mean, it's whatever. But so it's actually kind of cool, Jack. We have differing opinions for once. So that's kind of
I
nice.
know.
That's good. So, what else? Do you have anything that you want to say before we wrap it on up and get on out of here and go watch some Thursday night
we've gone
football?
plenty long tonight, so I'll leave it.
Actually, it's only been an hour and 27, so it's not too bad.
We're over.
Okay. The goat saying that it looks better without the butterflies. I would agree. Well, the butterflies are still there because the previous owners who put them up there literally must have used cement to stick them on there, because if I tried peeling them off with a screwdriver, and my sheetrock would have came down with it. So I'm just like, eh. So a green screen, he says. I don't know. I would have to jimmy up something. I don't know what we're gonna do. So, all right, Jack. Final words. We're getting out of here. What do you got?
I'm gonna go watch some football now. See you later.
Football. All right. I just want to say thank you to everybody for hanging out with us. I want to thank the Glickster. I want to thank the Goat. I want to thank Jordan. I want to thank Jack. I want to thank Luke. I want to thank the Fantasy Football Hacks podcast. I want to apologize about my Streamlabs bot. That is ridiculous. I'm I'm trying to figure out all that stuff, so I really apologize. But I want to thank everybody who is just joining us tonight. I want to thank all of our listeners out there. I want to thanks to our donators out there. You guys have really made this year a lot of fun. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a great fantasy football weekend. Skol Vikes. And Jack, good night, brother. All right, guys. Thank you so much for checking us out. I really appreciate it. Again, Jack, Luke, Alex Glick, Jordan, um, the GOAT, Fantasy Football Hacks podcast. Check them out on YouTube. Fantasy Football Hacks podcast on YouTube. Please check them out. Um, you guys are awesome. I really do appreciate you guys coming down and just watching our stream. We've had great numbers the last few weeks, and it literally is because of you guys. This week has been kind of crazy, so I'm really glad that the episode went the way it did tonight. Of course, there's always a few things we can clean up, but that's what it is, and whatever. So, but again, thank you guys, everybody. I really do appreciate you guys coming in and watching. So, we are getting closer and closer to our YouTube goal. Let's see here. What are we at here? I gotta check it out. I don't even know. I can look here. What do we got? We've got. I thought I saw 84. Yeah, we got 94. We got 94 subs, boys. 94. So we're only 6 away from that Hundy. We need you guys for sure. So spread the word. We do this every Thursday. So it's gonna broadcast will always start between 6:30 p.m. Central and 7 o'clock Central. So anywhere in there, our podcast and live stream is definitely gonna start. So keep coming in, checking us out. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell your fantasy league mates. Come join our stream. It's a lot of fun. We like to have fun here. And this stream is for you guys. It's about you guys. We talk about our league specifically, but my goal here from the start of this season was to make a podcast and a live stream centered around the people who are playing the game. And that means you guys. So that's why I've set up a Discord. That's why I'm doing live stream. That's why I'm here responding to your guys' chats. We want to be a community-driven show. So do everything you guys can. We really appreciate it. We really, really do. So your input and your participation is valued so much. I'm so humbled and I'm so thankful for every one of you guys out there who are posting in our Discord, who is chatting up in our live stream. So thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. So that's about it for tonight. We're gonna go watch the New York. I'm sorry, not New York. We're gonna watch the New England Patriots play some football. So we're gonna get on out of here and go do that. So, Skol Vikes. We're gonna beat the piss out of the Packers hopefully this weekend. Probably not, but who knows? So, you guys have a great night, and we will catch you all later. Peace out.